And welcome back to another video with SirLucien on the SirLucien Gaming channel. And today we have a video, should you buy or should you pass, on the book released by Wizards of the Coast that is Waterdeep, Dungeon of the Mad Mage. So this one's a little tougher to review because to do this, I don't want to have a lot of spoilers. But I do want to create a video that would allow somebody to kind of get an idea, is this going to be a book for them? So let's dive right in and hopefully I can help you answer that question. So this is one of the adventure books that, even just from the title, you can tell it's going to be a dungeon book, Dungeon of the Mad Mage. And any of those of you that already know some of the history of Forgotten Realms, you know that there is a massive dungeon underneath Waterdeep. It's in the title, so it's going to be a dungeon delving adventure underneath Waterdeep, and it's basically a mega campaign, a mega dungeon campaign. This is going to run you from levels 5 to 20 or more. Has plenty of opportunity for you to add in things to design parts of the dungeon yourself versus using what is there, but there is an enormous amount of already pre-built dungeon area for you to use and delve and have your characters go through. So saying that, the first thing that I think we would come to is this a book a player of Dungeons & Dragons would want to pick up? Is there anything in here that would be useful to them? And for me, this is one of the rare books that Wizards of the Coast has put out this year that I would say, no, there's no reason for a player to buy this book. There's nothing in here that's about class adjustments. There's nothing in here about extra spells or abilities that you're going to be able to get. There's no new races that you're going to get here or rules to use in those new races. None of those things exist in this book that would make a player want to purchase this. Now, if you are a collector, obviously you're the type of person that likes to buy all the books that Wizards of the Coast have out so that you have a full library of the stuff that they've offered, then you will probably buy this, though it may be one of those types of books that you buy and don't read if you plan to be the player in it versus being a dungeon master. One thing about that is there was no alternate cover like some of the books have had, so like Mordenkainen's Tome of Foes or Xanathar's Guide. Those had alternate covers that as a collector you might be interested in, or a special edition if you think of it that way from your brick and mortar stores. But Dungeon of the Mad Mage did not have that. So this is more on par with the adventure books. So this is going to be something more like Storm King's Thunder. This is going to be more like Tomb of Annihilation. This is going to be more like Waterdeep, Dragon Heist, those kinds of books. Now, that really only leaves the other type of person that might want to buy this would be a dungeon master. So as a dungeon master, are you going to want to buy this book? And again, I think it's a book that can provide you with a lot of inspiration. It definitely can show you or give you a feel for what a mega dungeon is going to be like. If you're going to run this, you're going to have some different skills that you're going to use versus the way you maybe normally run a game if you haven't done a mega dungeon. There's plenty in here for you to ad-lib and fill in, but there's also plenty to give you or get you started while you're going. I don't see this as being a book for a beginning dungeon master. I see this as being a book for a dungeon master who's been at it for a bit and wants to throw a very big dungeon exploration type of campaign at their players. And hopefully you've gathered the players that want to play in that style. I do feel like this is a good rendition of why you might have a large, random, underground dwelling that has just rooms all over the place, hallways all over the place that don't seem to make too much sense or connected to each other in various ways, with all kinds of creatures and factions, and not really sticking too hard to why they might be there or giving you reasons of how they got there, how they stay there, and all that kind of stuff. But it makes a reasonable attempt to give you some reasons for that. I don't want to spoil things. I don't want to go too far into it. But it does try to help you explain away the idea of the mega dungeon. The reason we have that is the old school version of Dungeons & Dragons was about creating a large dungeon that was complicated, almost puzzle-like, almost game show-like, that players would dive into and they would have to overcome traps and overcome all kinds of crazy monsters that were down there, and they would be able to get riches out of it. And who knew why all that was there and happened. But that's how the game played. They didn't care, I don't believe, initially about the narrative as much. They may have put some thought into it, and I think that's different. Some dungeon masters maybe had more thought into their dungeons than others, if you talk to Jim Murphy, I bet you could get a little bit more information like that. Like, I'm sure there were dungeon masters that had full backstories about their dungeons versus people that just like to make up random rooms and random traps and random challenges and then see if their players could get through it almost like a gauntlet. So this is more of like a 2018 version of a mega dungeon where the hobby has turned more to the narrative and the player base seems to want more RP versions or RP style of gaming versus just game show style gaming or just combat oriented or just a dungeon delve. They typically want more than that from their games. And I think this is a good addition or a good, what's the word I'm looking for? A good pass at trying to make a mega dungeon work in this new climate of RP heavy game playing, which is great. There's all kinds of different ways to play Dungeons and Dragons. There's no right way or wrong way. There's just different ways, and you got to find the dungeon master that wants to run the game that you like, and you as a dungeon master have to find the players who want to play in a style of campaign that you want to run. And this may be one of them. So to me, this is a specific book, whereas I could see a dungeon master of any real level deciding to do Storm King's Thunder or Tomb of Annihilation or Waterdeep Dragon Heist. But I'd see this one to be more specific. I think this one is for those dungeon masters who definitely want to only run a mega dungeon underneath Waterdeep in Faerun and not really do too much else with this book. It is filled 319 pages of content. Most of it is room descriptions and maps of those levels. Basically 23-ish levels that you can explore, taking you all the way from level 5 and to 20 or beyond if you wish. There is there's chaotic levels, I would say, just random rooms and as far as design goes, and hallways. And then there's more structured ones. And then there's, big rooms, small rooms, all kinds of weird rooms and things to explore and understand. There's factions living in these areas. There's even some castles or keeps or towers buried within. And you get all the way down to there's even cities or towns, and you can explore all these things because the underneath of Waterdeep and the mountain underneath Waterdeep, under mountain itself, is a huge, enormous area. I am impressed with the size of the maps and the detail of all the rooms they go through to give you to run this. I think it'll be daunting to start because you will look at this and say, wait a minute, I need to know 23 levels of a dungeon and I got to gather a party to play. Well, I think you could really tell yourself that in any given session, any 2-hour to 3-hour session, you're probably going to explore, give or take, maybe 5 to 6 rooms. So in preparation, when you're using this, you may only have to do a certain cluster of rooms around where the players currently are. Understand that piece, understand what's going on, understand what creatures or factions might be there, and then just be ready to react to what the players want to do. It doesn't seem like you have to know the entire level. You just need to know what you're going to have to get through in a session. If you're running a longer session, you're definitely going to need to know a little bit more. If you run shorter sessions, it's going to be a little easier on you for prep. So I think this is going to be an easy book to, and I don't want to say review because I know some people are thinking you're reviewing the book, but in this case, I haven't played this and I haven't read it too deeply because I want to be a player in it and I don't want to spoil it for myself. I've not decided if I want to run this as a dungeon master myself, though as I'm looking at just a few that's just kind of spot checking a few places, it feels like it would be easy for me to run as what I would think of as an experienced dungeon master. I could dive into this. I could run groups through this pretty easily or a group through this, and I think it could be a pretty fun campaign. So, plenty of artwork interspersed between the pages, though not as much as I don't think we've seen in some of the other books. There are at the back of the book also, you have a couple of appendices, but these are pretty small for a Wizards of the Coast book currently. You get a Dungeon Denzians area, which has less than a dozen extra creatures with stat blocks. You get 1 page of what they call the Elder Rune deck, and these are things that they can be found throughout the whole dungeon area and have either banes or boons, things that are bad or good that happen. And they're kind of laid out as something you could photocopy out of the book and then cut them up on like cardboard and have them. And then there's a secrets deck that you can use as a drawing card mechanic. And again, it's another one of those things where you can photocopy and then turn them into cards, cut them out, and use them at the appropriate time. So, in conclusion, I think it is a very specific book for a very specific market and not a book that everybody needs to pick up. If you're a collector, you probably want it to add to your collection. If you're a player, go ahead and save your $49.95 at your store. Even if you can find it cheaper, maybe you get it on sale or something. But don't really read through it because it's just going to be a big spoiler for you if you're not going to be playing it. There's nothing in here that's going to help with character creation or new options that you can, look forward to. So other than just having it on your shelf, probably no reason for you as a player to have it. You as a dungeon master, some dungeon masters, you may want this book, especially if you want to run a mega dungeon. If you have been dying to run a mega dungeon, this is a good book for you to go ahead and take a look at. Even if you don't use all of it, even if you only use some of it, or even if you just use the way they created it to then create your own, I think it could be a useful resource for you. Those dungeon masters that have a group that want to do a bunch of dungeon delving, this is a great book for you. They don't necessarily have to always go back down there. At some point, you can take your campaign back up to the surface and move it on somewhere else. I could see that as being something viable. If you're a brand new dungeon master, would you want to run this? Start your characters out at 5th level, and I think as a brand new dungeon master, you want to make it a little easier on yourself. You probably don't want the characters being too high level when you're running a brand new campaign and you're new to the rule set and you're new as a dungeon master. So you might look to do maybe Waterdeep Dragon Heist, or maybe a Tomb of Annihilation, or maybe a Storm King's Thunder might be more apt, or even just kind of doing some homebrew until you are familiar with the rules and your players. So I hope that helps you decide if this is a book that you should buy. I didn't want to make this too long, and I hope that you can use this quick little video, although, SirLucien videos are never quick because they're never under 12 minutes, to help you decide, is this the type of book that you want to buy, add to your shelf, or not? So hope to see you again. Hope you enjoy the channel. Hope you check out all those other videos and hit that like button. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Go ahead and talk to me on Twitter at SirLucien Gaming, all one word. Come see me on Twitch, and that is twitch.tv/SirLucien. Hope to see you in the next video. Bye-bye.